Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you're interested in today's video. Since China announced its rare earth export controls, Nvidia, which once monopolized China's high-end chip market, saw its market share in China plummet from 95% to zero, completely erasing a potential $50 billion opportunity. Micron, a giant in the memory sector, urgently suspended its data center server business in China, instantly losing at least $3.4 billion in revenue. Even ASML, the leader in lithography machines, saw its stock price plummet, wiping out tens of billions of euros in market value. These leading American companies, which once held absolute dominance in the global supply chain, are now forced to confront numerous pain points, such as supply chain disruptions and soaring costs, leaving them no choice but to shrink their commercial operations. Now, China has launched what is being called the strictest ever rare earth export controls. According to the Ministry of Commerce, any rare earth item containing Chinese components, even if it accounts for only 0.1%, must obtain a license for export. This measure is like a precise and powerful blow, striking at the heart of the global chip industry. After all, rare earth elements are not ordinary mineral resources. They are indispensable for manufacturing high-end precision equipment, such as chips and lithography machines. China not only possesses 49% of the world's rare earth reserves and 70% of its production, but also monopolizes over 90% of refining and processing technologies, making it the undisputed supply chain leader. More than 10 days later, this regulatory measure has already triggered a chain reaction, with major American companies bearing the brunt. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang reluctantly admitted at the Citadel Securities 2025 dialogue that the company has lost up to $50 billion in business opportunities. Micron Technology has also suffered a setback, announcing that it will withdraw from the data center server chip business in China due to scrutiny from relevant Chinese authorities. Based on Micron's published financial reports, this decision will reduce its annual revenue by at least $3.4 billion. Compared to a direct withdrawal, ASML faces an even more difficult situation. This leading manufacturer of extreme ultraviolet (EUV) lithography machines is caught in a double predicament. ASML's upstream supplier, Zeiss of Germany, relies on Chinese rare earth elements for its optical lens materials, and Tokyo Electron's precision component production capacity is also restricted due to China's rare earth controls. More critically, ASML itself is highly dependent on Chinese rare earth elements for its permanent magnets and polishing fluids, and currently has no alternative sources. This Chinese control measure directly exposed the vulnerability of its supply chain. Since the implementation of the controls, ASML's stock price has plummeted by 16%, wiping out tens of billions of euros in market value, and it faces the constant risk of production line disruptions. It can be said that these companies, which once held a high position, believing they could arbitrarily constrain China through technological monopolies, and even once cutting off the supply of chips and lithography machines to China, are now being strangled in turn. In fact, this is not the only example of China achieving reverse control in the global industrial chain. Taking the new energy sector as an example, CATL's sodium-ion battery standard successfully passed the new national standard certification, not only allowing it to enter the Western market, but also setting new industry safety standards. This demonstrates that China's industrial chain supply has become a powerful trump card in China's hands. The anxieties of companies like Nvidia, Micron, and ASML go far beyond simply the disruption of raw material supplies. More importantly, in high-end sectors once monopolized by American companies, Chinese enterprises are continuously breaking down technological barriers and actively seizing market share. Especially now, with Nvidia, Micron, and ASML forced to cede some market share, Chinese industries have not only filled market gaps, but also achieved breakthroughs in these companies' areas of strength, successfully reaping this gift. The resurgence of the chip industry is the most powerful example. Since the US escalated export restrictions on Nvidia, first banning the export of advanced chips like the H100 and A100 to China, and then even the H20, a comparative chip with only 20% of the performance of the H100, failed to pass US approval due to so-called security concerns. These blockades have ironically spurred the development of domestically produced chips. China's independently developed chips, such as the Changjiang, not only rival mainstream international products in computing power and read speed, but are also the world's first two-dimensional silicon-based hybrid architecture chips. Their debut shocked the entire industry, firmly securing the market share ceded by Nvidia. This demonstrates that China's ability to break through technological blockades is the core key to its continued leadership in global competition. More than 10 days after the implementation of rare earth controls, the global technology industry has clearly realized that the once invincible technological hegemony of Western companies is gradually loosening. As Nvidia founder and CEO Jensen Huang stated, "What harms China can also harm the United States, and perhaps even more severely." This statement accurately reveals the symbiotic logic inherent in the current global industrial chain. No party can remain unaffected by its monopolistic position. China's rare earth control measures are not a one-size-fits-all blockade, but rather a strategy of taking the initiative in development through standardized management. Looking ahead, as domestically developed technologies achieve breakthroughs in more fields, China's voice in the global industrial chain will inevitably continue to rise. This rule reshaping process initiated by rare earth regulations is not intended to create conflict, but rather to promote global industries towards a more rational and sustainable direction. Now that the regulations have taken effect, Nvidia's 95% market share has vanished, and ASML is also facing consequences. What are your thoughts on this?